Welcome back to Super X Heroes Anime Review Part 2. This one is going to discussing episodes 5 through 8. Now, what chapters say? Depth of these episodes is quite interesting. Unlike the first 2 episodes, the basic go from chapters 1 through 7, no problem. Not the case with 5 through 8. Nope. Basically, it's like 8 for chapter 5, for episode 5. 6 is 9 and 13. 7 is 14 and 15, and 8 is 16 and 19. Now you're probably asking, what the heck happened to about a few of these chapters? They're not adapted, they skipped over them. So, basically episode 5 is entirely one chapter. It's simply put, basically you have Rito with the girls go rescuing Kira, who have been captured by the censor bugs. Yeah, they call that in the manga. But in the anime, it's basically the HxEroes, which they kind of pronounce the name in the manga, but the more appropriate name is the censor bugs. That's what these creatures are. So they go to rescue her, and we see the Queen for the first time in the series. Because, well, now in case you're curious, though, is there any major changes they make to this particular episode for the manga? Not really. No, they stick pretty close to the story to really well. So they try to pump their energy by having the girls, to remove their panties and have some energy to basically beat the bugs. Doesn't work. Nope. And then they get there, and of course Kira frees herself by tricking her captor, who, by the way, their captor has got blonde hair pigtails. Why in the world this bug has got this? No idea. It's not even thoroughly explained. It's kind of weird how it's really like that. Mm-hmm. Yep. So, pretty much like right after that, then we have, well, sorry I have to keep moving this thing around, but something's basically going on in the actual shot. Yeah. Oh, I should probably move those. But I'll take, in case you're curious, what's the time I dealt with my clean clothes, don't worry about it. It's perfectly fine. So, pretty much, like, they go in free, she goes free herself, and then she goes to another room, and then she meets Sentara for the first time in the series. Yes, a younger girl who happened to be the firstborn child of the Queen. Yep, and she is different from the other censor bugs. Well, for one thing, she likes her culture. She apparently is. She adores Japan. She really wants to stay there. And also, she can siphon energy and use it basically to boost her people up. Which apparently they got her shunned, so they got her locked away. So, lucky enough, Kira basically frees herself. They destroy a couple of the bugs. And, well, nest is out. This actually will be a nest for the censor bugs, and it's destroyed by the heroes. And, of course, well, during the destruction of the place, Rito basically told Kira to go rescue her. He's like, hey, I'm here basically, like, he doesn't say I'm here to rescue, he just basically grabs her. And, of course, they have a new roommate. And by the next episode, basically, Rito's uncle, basically, is like, okay, we have this new censor bug, and we have this person who basically becomes a new roommate, and he wants to quarantine her, well, because, well, it's a new thing, so don't want to expose anything with it. I don't know, because, well, here's the thing about this episode, that because these episodes aired last year, so we have to throw in some references to quarantine, whatever. But this actually is from the manga. They would have to quarantine her because she's from outside. Basically, maybe she has some viruses. But no, it's perfectly fine. So she stays with everybody else. And she decides to basically play around, poke fun at people. And also she apparently transforms into the dog. The pervert dog. Why in the world she basically transformed this, I have no idea. Though when she opened up next day, she apparently decided to transform into Rito for Kira, because Kira's got a thing for him too. Yeah, that's something interesting though. Kira and Rito, it's shown in the series, these two are feeling for each other, but they've not revealed the mutual feeling for each other just yet. They do in the manga, don't worry about that. Then, of course, after basically spending time with her, basically sends her as Rito, she goes out, runs the Rito while she's in the dog mode, and then she merges Rito with herself, and then she just plays around with other girls. And in case you're curious, though, like the way they do it in the episode, is this how it is in the manga? Yes. Yes, there's really no change here. And of course, Rito is naked inside of basically Centaur's mind. And eventually, at one point, he gets on top of Kira because she's in the bath. And, well, basically, Centaur's on top of, in between them, so it's perfectly fine. Of course, she gets beaten up basically for all the trouble. Yep. Of course, also, prior to this, basically, before he gets into Dogma, basically, yeah, she finds out about Sora's, her thing of drawing erotic manga, making her the second person in the series to find out about this, first being Kira, then, of course, then her. Then, of course, at the end of the day, everything's basically back normal. And also, they have in the very episode, we have this weird thing where you have Kira basically about that was the first half, episode 6. The second half is from chapter 13, where she battles a bug, and after defeating this bug, she apparently decides to develop an alternate personality. Well, not exactly. Basically, she's basically suffering through stress, so she regressed back to childhood. Basically, back to being the pervert little girl. Yep, basically how she was younger. And I got a hand to this episode. They did a really good job keeping faithful to the source material for this one. Though, for some reason, when they started episode 8, they actually have the end of this episode, the start of that one for some reason. Yeah, I have no idea why in the world that Studio 9, yeah, that's the name of this company. Actually, it's called Project 9. That's the name of the company that makes this series. I mean, animation-wise, basically, do a really good job with it. So, we have oddball stuff happen where she, at one point, when they're transferring the PE uniforms, she apparently decided not to put on a bra. And then, after spending time with Rito in the nurse's office, she apparently went back normal. It's like, okay, you back to normal stuff? It's like, yes. And basically, apparently, when she's in the pervert mode, she wanted Rito to basically play with her chest. And lucky enough, Rito was hesitant to because he's, well, in love with her. So she realizes, though, that this whole situation is actually her fault. And she doesn't hit Rito for it, though the episode ends basically with her in the gym attire with the sweater, though she's zipped up now because she's not wearing a bra. Though Rito comes to the interesting idea of basically taping up her breast so it looks like she's wearing a bra, basically old samurai style. So they run off, and that's that. Now, episode number 7 is quite interesting to say the least, where we have this thing about this bug that puts people to sleep and keeps it in dreams they'd rather be in than they with their normal lives. Sounds like a ripoff of The Matrix. If you think that probably what this episode, well, first episode is, you're probably true, though this is actually down for the manga. That's the thing about this series so far, what I've seen. There's like no really any original content at all. Nope, it's all straight for the manga. Which I do like that when I do that. I don't mind occasionally doing that, but I don't need to have half the freaking anime basically be like, anime original content, which they haven't done that so far. Also, before I continue with this episode for episode 7, if you're curious though about episode 7.5, don't bother to watch it because why I like to malign. It is a recap episode, and it's kind of a good thing that this one is not dubbed into English. The only episode I would recommend watching for anime is Fritia episode 5.5. Why? Because even though, yes, that's a recap of the first 5 episodes, it also, the ending is actually original content. It's not it's not stock footage. That was basically introductions to Shira. But the recap episode for this series, skip it. Don't bother with it. It basically just rewatching first episodes, looking at basically a bridge retelling. So I didn't bother with it. So that's that. Yeah. So aside from the little bit, so they go find the bug. Of course, all the girls go to this place, and most of these people are put to sleep. Then we mostly see Rito's dream. We also see, apparently, before it gets this, we also have debut of the 2 members from the Tokyo branch. And their names are, I have the website up so I can look up the actual names. Their names are Seiko and Mena. Yeah, that is their name. Yeah. Psycho, of course, is a woman with an eye patch and has got like darkish skin. Now you're probably thinking, based on her way her voice is it J. Marcell's voice here? Nope, it's Michelle Rodgers. I have no idea who this woman is. Let's see. Aside from this series, well, one in that she was also in, and she also voiced Yui from Number One Smartphone. She's also in One Piece, the current dub, anyways. Let's see. She was in Tokyo Route a series no one really likes very much because, heck, even the voice actors not really big fans of this series. Yep. But yeah, not Jim Marceri. I thought she was in the series, but nope. Aside from the one of the voices, Kitara, aside from her, I don't really recognize any of the voice actors from the series. I mean, Matt Shippen, I have seen him in other stuff, but I haven't really found much stuff with him. Yeah. So they come in, basically, we first see them, it's like the way in the manga, we see two little boys who apparently really want to see a pair of panties. So the two girls from the Tokyo branch just happen to go by, and it's like, oh, you want to basically see you want to see my panties? Here you go. And puts it back down, and then they look up like, look up, don't look down. And then the guys look up, and they see panties. Yep. Yeah, in case you're curious, though, is this in an original? No, it's from the manga. So, yeah, no really change here. So, what's in when Never gets knocked out at the abandoned radio station? Is there anything really like? Well, in the case of Kara's, her dream sequence, like they cut a lot of stuff out for her for some reason. It's so really brief. It's really her and Rito married with a daughter who looks exactly like her, and apparently it's implied that Rito rather with a little girl than her, which that's disgusting. Why the heck would Kitara basically think that? Why would she think that the guy she loves rather be with her child than with her? That makes no freaking sense. As for Rito, what's his fantasy? Well, having multiple versions of the woman he loved act as his own harem. And they get back together. Look up, the Sarah comes in, says, hey, wake up and put this thing on. So he leaves and battles the sensor bug. First knocks her out with Rebel. And of course, and then we have Seka show up, and she basically wants to play with him sexually. Like, be on top of him. It's like, oh, let's use our age power to overload us first. And it looks like he's losing. But look how Chitara comes in, bites him for the first time. He doesn't say anything in the very next episode. And he goes crazy. He ends up taking out the girl, which overpowers her energy, which strips her naked, and the other woman too. Basically winning by default. Though he uses in another episode this beast mode. He was on Kitara, and after restoring him, after being well briefly, she goes, don't go in that mode again, that's too unpredictable. And as far as I can tell, he does. So, the evil sensor bug comes, wake up, look up is defeated by all the girls, and of course they argue over, basically what were they fighting over? Yeah, the reason why they were fighting was because of the sensor bug living with him. Yeah, that was pretty much the reason for it. Mm-hmm. Chichia. Yeah, Chichia. She was the reason why they were fighting. Mm-hmm. Yep. So pretty much like and then like the very next segment is them hang out at school. Yep. Her hang out with And then we have basically what happens in... Yeah, this whole episode was basically a two-parter. The very next episode is quite interesting. Like, it first shows off, we have Dark Kira, who technically made her debut a couple episodes back, but this one basically is a whole episode with her, where she basically is trying to push Kitara in a relationship with Rito because she's got a thing for him. So, like, awkward around each other the whole episode, and that's where the Beast Mode activates to be forbidden. And then we have this whole thing of also, basically, we have Psycho just hanging around where she's developing... Here's the thing. Because of what he did to her in the last episode, she's apparently fallen madly in love with him. Yes. One of like 2 or 3 characters in love with him aside from, well, Katara. So, they hang out for a bit. It's like, hey, be my H friend. Basically boosts each other's energy. And then like, okay, and then she gives him a lunch, he eats it, and then like the very next day he's like late for work. Of course, well, Chitara's in his bed. Yep. Also, I should point out that when he goes to beast mode in the bath, they actually make a slight change here because in the manga, Chitara was naked. In the anime, she's actually wearing her clothing. In case you're curious though, do I have any really big concern in the fact she's wearing her outfit than basically her appearing naked? Not really. I'm not gonna throw a fit about it. It's just there. So they have this thing called the H energy. It's an energy drink which apparently whoever drinks it makes them horny. I am not kidding about this. So first we have Saika drink it, and then Kitara drink it, so they get horny, and they really want to build their H energy, and then they're like, okay, let's go to a karaoke joint. One of several anime I've seen basically where they use this thing. Yeah, it just seems like a lot of anime that takes place in like modern day. One of the ones I've seen that come out in the last like 5 years, generally like going to a place like this. They had this also for Isugi-chan wants to hang out. My first girlfriend's a gal. I think my girlfriend's a slave virgin at one of these. I know Case Close has had one episode like this where they actually went to a place like this. I think My Hero had it too. Like a lot of anime tend to have these little episodes like, okay, let's go to a karaoke joint. Well, basically, the ones that have private rooms. I've never been to a karaoke joint, so I don't know how it is, or being in a room like this. And basically, he decided to briefly leave because he's feeling a little bit awkward around 2 women who are basically very horny, and basically both want to have sex with him. So, or at least do something with him. So he leaves, get drinks, and he comes back. The girls are cosplaying. Kara is dressed up as a schoolgirl with a sailor outfit. And Psycho is dressed up as a maid. They sing for a while. They put the microphones in weird place. Well, Katara puts hers between her chest, and oh boy, Psycho puts hers between her legs. And after a while, they get worn out. In case you're curious, though, does he do anything with the microphones there? Not really. No, he does nothing. So, in case you're curious, though, no. And with them being pooped out, they just basically just go home. Yep, and that's where the episode ends. It's quite a weird set of episodes. Like the first two, which actually were pretty good. These are just plain weird, to say the least. I'm sure the series is going to get weirder as I move forward. There's only about 4 episodes left of the series, believe it or not. Yeah, 4 episodes left. So expect to see a review for that probably like in an hour. And in case you're curious, though, yes, I do plan on reviewing Dr. Stone right after this, because I want to finish this anime first. It's going to be really, really close. So, I'm going to cap off this, basically, anime today. Watch Dr. Stone. Also, I was planning on doing Two Liberal Darkness after this. I was going to say this later, but I wanted this right now. But because the fact I got a big stack of books right next to me, and I really want to cut this down, like, basically, I want to get through these books. So, I'm not going to go to Liberal Darkness right afterwards. I will go to another anime, which basically I'm reading the first line out word right now. I'll review what the name of the anime is in the next episode, but that's basically I'm going to go for a bit, basically reading that, and trying to lower down this stack, because If you see my, let me show off my stack of books. Basically, you have to read now for light novels. Of books I own, it is this freaking big now. Yeah, so I'm gonna try to lower the amount of books I have left by about half, maybe, and then I'll start Two Over Darkness and then Saturday to Class them. And I'm also planning to eventually Lupin the Third. Yes, I finally decided to do this series because I'm so curious for this series and I love the premise. I like the characters. I first got introduced to them, well, reading them online and of course seeing animation. The first time I saw animation was the Case Closed versus Lupin the Third crossovers, which were really good by the way. I will probably go back to visit them later on. Yep. But in the case of Women Do Lupin the Third, I don't know. I probably will take up like a lot of time to watch this particular franchise. It's a lot of stuff, but I am going to watch it. But I will probably take breaks between certain episodes so I can work on other stuff. Especially since the second series is really long. It's 55 episodes. So this one I'll probably take some breaks this one. In the case the first one is 23 episodes. Won't take me very long. Not a very long period of time, hopefully. Though in the case second part, this one might take me a while. But I will be taking breaks this one. But a lot of this year, basically, I'll be watching Lupin the Third. And it's all dubbed, so don't worry about that. Though in the case of the TV specials, I'm not really sure. I probably will. Well, I know there's one not dubbed because it's crossover with Case Closed. That I do know, and I will get a chance to watch that one again. But time will tell. Okay? So yeah, that's episode of you. Stay tuned. My next video will be the final part of this video review series. Well, might be like one video after this one because there's also a couple of VAs. Yep, but until I see you all next video. Bye.